A lithium alliance is quietly shifting the balance of global power. Washington clings to old supply chains and geopolitical leverage. Ottawa is building a transatlantic partnership with Brussels, securing the metals that power everything from electric vehicles to advanced defense systems. This is more than a resource deal. It's a strategic alignment the U.S. may not be able to stop. Today, we're diving into Canada and Europe's lithium alliance the U.S. can't ignore. Welcome to Geo Capitalist, where we decode global wealth, one power shift at a time. If you want to uncover the forces shaping trade, technology, and the industries of tomorrow, subscribe now. Because the stories that will define the next decade are already unfolding today. In early 2025, Canada and the European Union deepened their partnership through the Strategic Partnership on Raw Materials, an agreement designed to ensure Europe's access to secure, sustainable supplies of critical minerals. This expansion builds on the EU's Critical Raw Materials Act, which mandates that no more than 65% of any key mineral can come from a single non-EU source by 2030, a clear signal to reduce reliance on China. The deal includes provisions for direct investment in Canadian lithium mining projects, streamlined permitting for exports to Europe, and joint research on sustainable extraction methods. While aluminum was the headline in 2024, lithium is the quiet powerhouse of 2025, and both sides know it. Canada's government, in partnership with provincial authorities, has greenlit multiple lithium projects in Quebec and Manitoba, backed by European financing. In return, European companies gain priority access to the production, ensuring a steady supply chain for the continent's rapidly expanding electric vehicle and battery manufacturing sectors. This isn't just about minerals. It's a strategic hedge, securing supply chains for green industries while reinforcing political ties across the Atlantic. Lithium isn't just another metal. It's the backbone of the energy transition. From EV batteries to grid storage systems, demand is projected to triple by 2035. The International Energy Agency warns that without new supply lines, battery production could hit a bottleneck by the late 2020s. For Europe, the stakes are especially high. The EU's Green Deal requires a massive scale-up in clean technology, but the continent currently imports over 80% of its lithium from outside its borders, with China and Australia dominating. Canada's offer changes that equation. Canadian lithium reserves are among the most promising in the world, concentrated in hard rock deposits like spodumene in Quebec's Abitibi region and pegmatites in Manitoba. These sites are powered largely by hydroelectric energy, giving the output one of the lowest carbon footprints globally, a critical advantage under Europe's new Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM. Europe gains not just raw material, but a climate-compliant source that shields manufacturers from costly tariffs. For Canada, the partnership means locking in high-value, long-term contracts at a time when U.S. tariffs and trade uncertainty are pushing Ottawa to diversify. Behind the headlines, the lithium deal is a masterclass in supply chain engineering. The agreement covers extraction, refining, and final battery-grade processing, ensuring that Canada isn't just exporting raw ore, but climbing the value chain. Joint ventures between Canadian miners and European battery makers are already underway. Companies like Volkswagen and Northvolt have signed memorandums of understanding with Canadian suppliers, aiming to feed upcoming gigafactories in Germany and Sweden. The logistics are also shifting. In 2024, Canada expanded port capacity in Halifax and Septiles, adding specialized loading equipment for mineral exports. Dedicated container routes to Antwerp and Hamburg will cut transit times to under 10 days, compared to the longer Pacific route to Asia. Perhaps the most strategic move? Including refining facilities within Canada. By processing lithium domestically, Ottawa not only creates skilled jobs, but also insulates itself from raw commodity price swings. Europe benefits by sourcing from a politically stable, environmentally responsible partner, a hedge against supply disruptions from regions prone to geopolitical conflict. This is the kind of vertical integration that can permanently shift market dynamics. It's not about one shipment. It's about building a transatlantic pipeline for the next 20 years. For Washington, the Canada-EU Lithium Alliance is a wake-up call. The U.S. has its own critical mineral strategy, but it's lagging in both investment and permitting speed. By the time American projects break ground, Europe may have already secured priority access to Canadian supply. Under the new trade flows, a portion of Canada's lithium that might have gone to the U.S. will instead be earmarked for Europe's EV sector. That means American automakers could face tighter supply and higher costs unless they move fast to secure their own deals. The tension is amplified by ongoing tariff disputes. The Biden and Trump administrations alike have pushed for higher duties on foreign clean tech components to protect domestic industries. But those same tariffs make it harder for Canadian suppliers to compete in the U.S. market, nudging them toward Europe instead. In effect, Washington's own policies are accelerating a shift in supply chains, one that benefits Brussels more than D.C. And as Canada deepens its role as a global supplier of strategic minerals, the U.S. may find itself negotiating from a weaker position in future trade talks. The numbers behind the deal are telling. According to Natural Resources Canada, the country's lithium production could quadruple by 2028, with export revenues climbing into the billions. The EU's share could represent over 35% of total Canadian lithium exports by mid-decade. On the domestic front, mining expansions and processing plants are set to create thousands of high-paying jobs, not just in extraction but in engineering, logistics, and research. Quebec alone expects over 3,000 new positions tied to the lithium sector in the next 5 years. For Europe, the economic impact is equally significant. By securing low-carbon lithium, EU manufacturers can maintain competitiveness while complying with CBAM rules. That helps protect tens of thousands of jobs in the automotive and renewable energy sectors. The alliance also opens the door for reciprocal trade. In exchange for lithium, Europe is poised to increase exports of advanced battery technology, EV components, and renewable energy systems to Canada, creating a loop of mutual economic benefit. In an era of trade fragmentation, deals like this stand out for their ability to generate growth on both sides without fueling zero-sum competition. One of the key selling points for Europe is Canada's environmental record in mining. The majority of Canadian lithium projects are powered by renewable energy, particularly hydroelectricity, which drastically reduces the carbon footprint of the final product. This aligns perfectly with the EU's strict environmental, social, and governance (ESG) standards. Under the new agreement, all lithium exports to Europe will carry verified sustainability certifications, making them compliant with upcoming EU regulations for critical raw materials. Beyond climate metrics, Canada is also focusing on Indigenous partnerships in mining projects. Revenue-sharing agreements and joint ownership stakes are becoming standard, ensuring that local communities benefit directly from resource development. For Europe, this ESG compliance isn't just a moral choice, it's a market advantage. Products made with Canadian lithium can be marketed as premium, sustainable goods, appealing to both regulators and consumers. In a global market where environmental scrutiny is rising, Canada's ability to deliver high-quality, low-carbon lithium is a differentiator that few competitors can match. Trade doesn't happen in a vacuum. It thrives on trust, networks, and shared values. Canada and Europe already have deep cultural and historical ties, and these play a quiet but crucial role in sealing big-ticket deals. In 2025, over 3 million Canadians claim European ancestry, with significant German, French, Italian, Polish, and Scandinavian communities maintaining active cultural and business connections. Many of these networks operate at the intersection of commerce and diplomacy. Trade fairs, cultural festivals, and bilateral chambers of commerce that directly influence investment flows. Direct flights between Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, and major EU capitals have increased, while cargo capacity on transatlantic routes has grown by over 15% since 2023. Academic and scientific exchanges are also expanding, especially in battery technology, sustainable mining, and green manufacturing. European companies like BASF, BMW, Stellantis, Volkswagen, and Northvolt are already major investors in Canada's automotive, battery, and clean energy sectors. These partnerships go beyond contracts. They involve joint R&D, workforce training, and co-funded infrastructure projects. For Canadian producers, Europe isn't just a customer. It's a partner that shares regulatory frameworks, environmental priorities, and long-term economic goals. That alignment reduces friction, accelerates permitting, and shortens supply chain timelines. In an era of volatile global trade, that trust gives both sides a lasting competitive edge over Asia, the U.S., and other emerging suppliers. The Canada-Europe Lithium Alliance is more than a resource deal. It's a strategic blueprint for the next era of global trade. In a world where control over critical minerals can determine leadership in clean tech, AI, aerospace, and defense, Ottawa and Brussels are positioning themselves to stay ahead. By combining Canada's resource wealth with Europe's industrial and manufacturing power, this pact creates a self-reinforcing cycle of economic security, technological innovation, and political leverage. It also strengthens Europe's Critical Raw Materials Act goals while giving Canada guaranteed long-term buyers for its high-grade lithium. The agreement sends a clear message. Strategic autonomy doesn't mean isolation. It means choosing partners who share your vision for the future and can withstand external political shocks. For Europe, this is about reducing dependency on China. For Canada, it's about diversifying away from over-reliance on the U.S. market. The big question is, who's next? Will Japan, South Korea, or India move to secure a similar agreement with Ottawa? Will the U.S., facing increasing competition, pivot to lock in its own transatlantic mineral supply lines? One thing is certain, in the race for the minerals that will power the 21st century economy, the early movers will define the rules. And in 2025, Canada and Europe just stepped into the driver's seat. And there you have it. If you found this breakdown valuable, watch our next video. It connects directly to what's unfolding. And don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us decode these global shifts without compromise. Let us know in the comments, is Canada simply diversifying, or is this the start of a permanent economic pivot? Either way, the world is watching. This was Canada and Europe's Lithium Alliance the U.S. can't ignore. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.